Hey everybody, welcome to the beta. I wanted to give some brief feedback and provide a little bit of my own insight on the Crusading Strikes change. In short, it's bad. It's real bad, but I still want to give my feedback, and we can sort of get into it and talk through it. So, saying that, they did reintroduce Crusader Strikes. It's a little bit different than what it was before, but this version is not great. It's been reintroduced and it's now a choice node, similar to what we had before. It still replaces your auto attacks and deals physical damage, and you auto attack 50% slower. They did increase the damage by 200%, so it's going to hit a little bit harder. But the benefit of this did not come from its damage; it came from its holy power generation. So that's not a great trade-off. Also, they have made some changes on beta, so our auto attacks also hit very hard now comparatively. I'll show you in a little bit, but it's a pretty big change, and it really makes Crusading Strikes not a great option. So I do want to briefly talk about my feelings on Crusader Strike in general. So it was introduced in Dragonflight to great success. I was a little bit nervous about it initially because having a passive way to generate holy power was counterintuitive and very new. But in reality, it worked out with the correct weak auras and tracking. It made a great way to track holy power and let us really focus on both better generators and more finishers. So all in all, it was a win. It had some really great synergy with the old Divine Resonance, which made so during your cooldowns, you just kept slamming Templar Verdict after Templar Verdict after Templar Verdict, which was really great. Right now, doesn't really do that or live up to what it was before. Yeah, wasn't great. So before we do get into it, I did want to advocate for removing auto attack entirely from the game, but it seems to me that Blizzard values the interaction of autos. When I mean, hey, it's almost 2026. I think that auto attacks are a very dated feature. Our abilities should be what does damage, and then their passive effects. Auto attacks are just it's a useless animation. Like there's nothing special here. It just happens. So. I do also want to note that we have been here before as far as auto attack tuning goes. In BFA, Blizzard did a pass on auto attacks where they did retune the amount of damage done by auto attacks. So ultimately, this is just more of the same. Right now, it's very high, which seems to be intended. I don't love it, but it is what it is. So let's talk about how it feels. So I want to note that I am playing Herald of the Sun, and I'm not using Templar, not because I don't want to. I really love Templar. Templar's phenomenal, and Herald's really bad, but because there is currently a bug with Templar, where when you use Divine Toll, you get a free Hammer of Light. This can make the opener a little bit wonky and not really a good example of what the gameplay's like. So I'm using Herald to give you a better feel of what it should be like, and we'll sort of go from there. So a couple initial things I do want to point out is that I am going to run Art of War on this initial testing just to show you, because Crusading Strikes is an auto attack replacement. It does proc Art of War. However, because the cast swing is reduced by 50%, you're going to get half as many Art of War procs, which is a major problem. So we'll get into the problems a little bit later, but let me just show you a couple things. So here's our regular build. I'm running Templar Strikes. It's all single target focus. All the additional talents here are just purely AoE. You have Tempest, which is AoE, Sanctify, which is AoE, Blade of Vengeance, which is AoE, and Blessed Champion, which is AoE. I'm not taking Radiant Glory. I think that likely with the change to Execution Sentence here, that will likely be running a 1-minute Wings build, but that's sort of up in the air. So yeah, let's sort of get into it. So as far as the opener goes, we don't really know what it's going to look like yet, but my thought is simple as you get your Blade of Justice rolling on the target, so we're able to have a 5% additional damage from our expurgation, which is here. So you deal 5% increased holy damage to target spreading from your expurgation. So we want to get that up for our opener. So we'll apply that and then sort of go straight into it. So we're going to apply it, then go straight into execution sentence, and then go from there. There is a little bit of weirdness on beta right now where we are going to be swimming with procs, but I'll just show you what it looks like so you get a feel for it. So that's sort of our baseline of where we're sitting at. I mean, the placement of Wake of Ashes in your opener is a little bit up in the air. I'm not sure where it's going to land, but we're just swimming with procs with Jesir and Executioner. We can just churn through finishers. So to be determined how that pans out, but as of right now, that's sort of where we stand. So if we change gears a little bit and switch things up, I'll do my first example here, which is keeping the same build, but only changing to Crusading Strikes. So for this one, we're going to do everything exactly the same. Let me actually get rid of this Holy Power here. But we're going to use Crusading Strikes instead. Everything else the same. So, same opener. So you'll see we just hit our first bit of dead time right there. See, we wait, we auto attack and then have it. So there is way more downtime with this build. Yeah, here we go. There's about a 3-second window of downtime. It's not great. Doesn't feel good to play with. It's manageable, but don't really have a great way to track it right now. So it is a little bit problematic. Not something I love. It's playable, but it's not good. As far as damage goes, you can see here that it's primarily Final Verdict, Sun's Avatar, Light Within, then Crusading Strikes down here. So it's way down. So let me show you, actually, here, we'll show you this first. So use the new details here. Yeah, see auto attack here, where how high it is. So Crusading Strikes is doing less damage than your auto attack, and the Holy Power isn't easy to track at all. So you see Templar Slash, it's there, it's low. It's not a huge damage contribution in these short tests, but the longer testing you do, it does come up in value. It'll be normally like your 4th or 5th highest damage, maybe a bit higher in some cases. So for our second test, I wanted to show you a build where we switched everything up. So we're not relying on auto attacks. We're using Righteous Cause instead. So we want to be spending as much as possible. We're having two charges of Blade of Justice and then 2 charges of Improved Judgment. So this should allow us, ideally, to have way more Holy Power generation and not rely on the randomness, or not randomness, but the slow, not visible generation of Crusading Strikes. So we'll see. Since both Blade of Justice and Judgment both reset due to different conditions, it should work out at least a little bit better. So let's give it a go. So you still run into the same issue of just swimming on procs and having things you want to spend at the beginning of your opener. I don't think that's really avoidable. But at least with this, you're always having something to press with very limited downtime, which is good. But the problem is it comes with a trade-off of less damage. Realistically, you're only having Holy Power built through 2 abilities that only generate 1 Holy Power each. So Blade of Justice only generates 1 Holy Power, and Judgment only generates 1 Holy Power, so you're going to be getting less Templar Verdicts. I mean, you can see here, from a damage standpoint, Final Verdict is substantially less than other builds. So right here it's at 5.2k. If we look back here, well, I think that was after the combat went, but yeah, here you go, 8.3k there. So it's by a slightly different build, but the point is that Final Verdict is something we really want to press very frequently, and when you're generating less holy power, the results aren't going to be great. So while this build does cure the problem for downtime, you sacrifice a ton as far as other damage goes. Third build I want to show you is increasing holy power generation. So we're going to switch back to Blade of Justice having 1 charge but generating additional holy power, and then Judgment having 2 charges. We are still using Righteous Cause because we're auto attacking less. So here we go. We'll do the same opener here. Sorry, there is a little bit of lag on the beta, so it might look a little bit funky. So a little bit of downtime, not dramatically so. Because of the resets on Judgment, it helps out a little bit. So it's better like this. This is my preferred build with Crusader Strike, but I still don't like Crusader Strike. I think it's better. So you see here, Final Verdict is doing quite well because we're able to generate more holy power. That's a big thing here. Crusading Strikes is still consistently around that 2 to 2.5k range. There is a bit of a weird thing on beta too with Light Within. We do want to have Blade of Justice be a very high priority ability because it does an absolute truck ton of damage. So we want to be pressing this as much as possible with Art of War resets, or in this case, Righteous Cause. But it's just, we have so many buttons to press on our opener. You feel like you're going to sacrifice a Templar's Verdict for using that proc, and I don't know what the optimal choice is going to be as of right now. My guess is it's still going to be on single target. You're likely going to just continue spending like you normally do, but in AoE, you might just send that Art of War proc regardless of what holy power you're at. I don't know. We'll see. So let's talk problems. So the first problem is with Crusading Strikes. It's impossible to attack. It is an auto attack, and we do not have a swing timer. I'll throw a picture up here for the weak aura I used currently on live to help me track. It's built in with my holy power, so I always knew when I was going to gain that additional holy power from an auto attack, but all that functionality is gone. Add-ons have been really locked down, and weak auras is not working anymore, so you can't do that anymore. You're never going to have that visibility into when your auto attack will actually connect with the target. So because of that, you're never going to really know for sure when you're going to get that holy power. You can always spend it for, so you're never going to waste holy power. I mean, that's fine. And it works out okay, but it still is a huge lack of visibility. And I think that is really at odds with their combat philosophy. So they specifically said that class specializations were revamped to make it easier to track buffs and debuffs and reduce pressure to rely on add-ons. This change really wants you to rely on an add-on or something to show you a swing timer. There's nothing in the base UI that gives an indication of I'm going to be generating a holy power at this point, and that's a problem. Right now with current tuning, no one is going to take this, so it sort of is a moot point. But on the principle of the matter, if they're going to reintroduce a talent, make it actually a choice. This should be a meaningful option that gives a competitive option for players. That's what it should be doing, and it's not doing that. So it also, as I mentioned earlier, does have some anti-synergy with Art of War, specifically because it is based on auto attacks, and if you're auto attacking half as much, you're going to get half as many procs, give or take. In addition, with the Light Within, if you are running Art of War, because it is based on auto attacks, you're going to run into these issues of where Heart of War is going to reset based on your auto attack, and if you're auto attacking 50% slower because of Crusading Strikes, you're just going to get more light within procs. So you're going to be sacrificing a huge portion of your damage from this third capstone piece, which isn't good. And then lastly is that Imperium Power also procs off Crusader Strike or Crusading Strikes to give that free Divine Storm damage. And ultimately, if you're auto attacking yet again 50% slower, you're just going to get less procs. And so this to me seems like Crusading Strike seems like Crusading Strikes is a bit of a trap talent of where if you want to have a really simple rotation, if you don't really want to have to care about Holy Power, if you want to sort of just not engage with your gameplay at all, sure, you can pick it, but it's going to be bad in every single area. The one exception to that is PvP, because with PvP, you're likely to be in a situation where you might not always be able to get the full benefit of Templar Strikes, because you're not always going to be connected to a target. So if you run Righteous Cause and Crusading Strikes, it might make more sense, but it's still not a great choice for every other piece of content outside of it. So what do we do? What feedback do we give? What suggestions do we make? Well, first and foremost, I think we get rid of it. I know we just reintroduced it. It is somewhat of a beloved talent, but it was beloved for all the right reasons in a very different feeling game. The game we're playing now at midnight is just different. We don't have weak auras. We don't have the ability to track things. It's a little bit slower and slowed down. We're not relying on things like Divine Resonance as much for Holy Power generation. Just it plays differently. And because of that, Crusading Strikes doesn't have a place here. If they're not going to do that, there are other ways we can tweak the kit or view things a little bit differently. We could update Art of War and Imperium Power to not be based off of auto attacks. I think that's reasonable. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's 2025, almost 2026. Basing things around auto attacks, probably not the best design. People like to press their buttons. They like to have a visceral feel. Rotations are really important. And when you're shifting things into auto attacks, it's really less exciting, and it doesn't have a really appealing gameplay loop, in my opinion. So I think Righteous Cause heads in the right direction of having the Art of War, or in this case, Blade of Justice resets based around Holy Power spenders. But it's missing the critical strike scaling the Art of War is, which makes Art of War so strong. Also, because we want to be spending Holy Power and not... So I think another solution which might work here is we just make two different Templar Strikes talents. So one can still be the combo strike we have, where we go up to a target and we can look here, we can press it, and then it presses again and has that combo attack. I think that's fine. It does what it needs to do. It's not overly exciting, but I think we could still keep that. Secondarily, I think we could also make an enhanced version of this where instead of a combo attack, it's a singular button press. It has a cooldown, but it generates 2 Holy Power. This would allow us even more to mix and match with Swift Justice, so reducing the cooldown of Crusading Strike and Judgment, Light of Justice, reducing the cooldown of Blade of Justice, Improved Blade of Justice, with Blade of Justice having charges versus Holy Power gen, and then also Improved Judgment versus Boundless Judgment. If we can mix and match that and choose which spells we want to sort of generate the bulk of our Holy Power, it might lead to more interesting gameplay. I still think Crusader Strike is not the most exciting button to press, especially in the combo. But you know what? It is where we're at. There's always going to be your lowest priority spell. So yeah, that's sort of my take. I think that Crusading Strike shouldn't really be around. This version's terrible. Yeah, we'll continue to do some more testing and some more feedback, and let's hope Blizzard makes some changes in the near future. So thanks for listening.